Hello, everyone. Welcome to the presentation of Team 2 Say Hi. All right, for the best interactions and engagement ever, I would like to recommend you to scan the QR code to join our Mentimeter. The first question is, which languages do you speak? We receive a lot of responses: Vietnamese, English, Russian, Chinese, right? Let's ask a foreign friend of us. Hey, Raphael, how many languages do you speak?
So I will say that I speak only one language because I just speak the French fluently, but I'm really trying to learn the English to be fluent as in French. So what about you, Yui?
For me, I speak really fluently in two languages. Of course, Vietnamese is being my mother language, but I also speak English really fluently because I've learning it since I was really young. So moving on, what are your purposes of learning a language? I can see to argue with people, which is a really interesting aspect. What do you think, Raphael? What are your purposes?
Learning language to communicate and to travel in the world principally. This is the two main reasons. What about you, Dad?
Yes, a lot of purpose, right? For me, learning a language is like exploring a culture and learning new knowledge in that country. For example, I would like to, learn a lot from the Japanese tea culture. So learn a little bit of Japanese would do a lot of benefits for me. All right. So I think like from the questions, there are a lot to discuss right now as to what is the meaning when you know a language. So the focus of our topic today would be semantics, which refers to the literal meaning of phrases and sentences. Knowing semantics is central because it helps you to understand the meaning of not just the words, but also the sentences and also the knowledge of a culture as well. So let's join to our session today to learn about semantics. And once again, this is us, Team 2 Say Hi. Our focus will have 4 parts. For the first part, sentence meaning truth, it will be presented by our foreign friend, Raphael. And moving to the next part, the entailment, Yui will be taking responsibility for this part. And for the ambiguity, it will be presented by our friend Irene. And then I will take care of the final part when compositionality goes awry. Okay, so let's jump to the very first part.
Okay, when someone tells you something, how do you know if it's true or not? Could be rely only on the word used. This is what we are going to see with the sentence meaning true. So, the sentence meaning refers to its conventional meaning, regardless of the context and the intention of the speaker. In semantics, we are interested in the meaning of the truth. And sentence meaning true is based on the semantic knowledge as the basic determinant and the grammatical structure and meaning of words. This is what we are calling the true conditional semantics and the compositional semantics. These two approaches allow us to determine in which condition in the sentence is it true or false. So, when you have a sentence, you have to determine if it's true or not. The interpretation of a sentence may vary according to the context. This is why the true conditions are important, because if you know the meaning of a sentence, you can determine under which condition they are true or they are false. This is what we can see with these two examples. Circles are round and all kids are female. In the first sentence, the meaning of a sentence is true in all situations. In the second one, the meaning of a sentence is false in all situations. This is what we are calling the tautology and the contradiction. So these two approaches allow us to determine the truth conditional in a sentence. But all phrases are neither always true or always false. This is what we are going with the next example. When you hear this sentence, screens make all children violent, it seems to be true, but it's a generalization. It's not always true. As you know, all the children don't become violent because of the screens. So it may hide a little bit part of the truth. So this is why the sentence being true are important. They allow us to determine under which condition it's true or false, and understand as well the comprehension of the sentence. So it allows us to avoid misunderstanding and communicate better with each.
So what happens when the truth of one sentence depends on another sentence? We move on to the next part, entailment. Entailment means the logical relationship between statements where the one truth of one sentence guarantees the truth of another, which means one sentence truth value will be based on the truth value of another sentence, as you can see in the composite truth table here, where sentence A with its entailment direction will directly affect the truth value of sentence B. Here, we have the four main types of entailment that we are going through. The first and most common type is one-way entailment, which is the entailment that usually goes one way, where sentence A entails sentence B means that if A is true, B is true only for that situation. Here, we have the example of Irene loves eating bananas and Irene likes eating fruits. Well, if she loves eating bananas, it must guarantees that she likes eating fruits, right? But what if she likes eating fruits? Does it mean that she likes eating bananas? Well, of course not. She might love other types of fruits. But what if Irene does not love eating bananas? Well, she might like eating other types of fruits too. Well, now we move on to the second type of entailment, which is the synonymous entailment, where two sentences are synonymous if they entail each other, commonly found to paraphrase sentences like a car hit me and I got hit by a car. The third type of entailment, which is the contradictory entailment, where the truth of one sentence entails the negation of the other, which through the example here, Sam walked to work today does not mean that Sam drove to work today either. It cannot be happening at the same time. The last type of entailment is the metaphorical entailment, the most interesting part of all, where the imparting of one sentence to another through logical means. Where A is true, B must be true through logical interpretation. For example, I am feeling under the weather, which is a really common idiom which could be interpreted to I am feeling unwell. Or the Vietnamese idiom đừng trông mặt mà bắt hình dong could be understood as don't judge anything by its physical appearance, or through the English idiom of don't judge a book by its cover.
But what if someone has never heard an idiom before? How can they get the meaning of that sentence? I have the example for you here. You just hit the road today. What does it mean? Like you just got an accident and hit the road, or you left for a holiday. The truth here is, you left for a holiday. So I will introduce you through the significance of ambiguity in our daily communication. Our semantic knowledge tells us where words or phrases have more than one meaning. That is when they are ambiguous. I will introduce you 5 types of ambiguity from the lexical, structural, scope, referential, and pragmatic ambiguity. So here, I have some example for you too that say that, hey, let's go home, it's late now. And then you reply with the sentence here, call me a taxi. What does it mean? You want that to call him as a taxi, like his name taxi, or call the taxi to take they home. Here, that is the lexical ambiguity, refers to the phenomenon where a word or phrase has multiple meanings or interpretation, complicating the communication and the understanding. Here are some common names that you might face in our daily life, and we will dig deeper in the homonymy and the polysemy. For the homonymy here, as you may see, homonymy are words that have the same sound and spelling. And for the homophone, phone stands for sound, so these words will have the same sound but different spelling. So let's move to our example for the homonymy. Here for the first sentence, the night is biting in the night. So the first night is a soldier on a horse, and the second night is the period of time between the late afternoon when we go to bed. For the homonymy, that is using the bat to hit the bat, so it's exactly the same word bat. For the first bat, that is that, and the second bat is the animal. And for the third one, homocraft, a tear fell as he began to tear the letter. So the first tear is an I, and the second tear is the verb when we pull apart the paper. So we will have the polysemy. Polysemy are the same word with multiple related meanings. Here, we will have just one word line, but we will have 3 different ways of meaning. A lot of people waiting, a lot of text, or just a straight line. And I have asked my foreign friend to understand the polysemy in French, which is the word abakhel. Here, we will have 4 ways to understand. For the first one, qui est l'abakhel? Who is speaking? Un médecin est un expert de l'abakhel digestive. A doctor is an expert on the digestive system. The third one is the last voyagers saw aboard the l'abakhel red voler. Passengers are on board. The aircraft is ready to fly. And the 501 is il porte un abakhel dentaire. He is wearing braces. Moving on to structural ambiguity. Structural ambiguity occurs when a phrase clause, or sentence can be interpreted in multiple ways due to its structure. Here, this is the difference between syntactic rules and compositional rules. Syntactic rules focus more on the form and structure, but compositional rules focus more on the meaning. Here, I have an example sentence for you. A boy saw a man with a gun. This is called the prepositional phrase attachment ambiguity, where we can interpret it in two ways. A boy saw a man and the man had a gun, or a boy had a gun and saw a man. This is the diagram tree for you to understand more about the two ways of understanding this sentence. So coming on to the scope ambiguity. The scope ambiguity occurs when elements like quantifiers, negations, or adverbs have unclear scope, leading to multiple interpretation. Here, when I say everyone loves someone, which means I can understand in two ways. Each person has their own someone to love, or everyone, all person, love the same people. There are some examples for scope ambiguity. In quantifiers, negations, and adverbs, we need to understand the scope ambiguity to avoid the misunderstanding or the misinterpretation in communications. Moving on to referential ambiguity. Referential ambiguity occurs when a word, phrase, or pronoun can refer to multiple entities, creating uncertainty about its meaning due to unclear context or cues. And we have some example for you here from the pronouns: demonstrative ambiguity, substitution, commons, nouns, and appositive. The last one, pragmatic ambiguity. Pragmatic ambiguity occurs when context causes unclear meaning, leading to multiple interpretation, influenced by word choice, speaker intent, and situation. I have two examples for you to understand. The first one, you don't say that I'll come to your house soon, Irene. I can understand it in two ways, a promise or a threat. In Vietnamese, we have this kind of pragmatic ambiguity too. Ở lại ăn cơm với nhà cô nha. Have lunch with us, will you? And like for the welcoming, they would say like, ở lại ăn cơm với nhà cô nha. But for the sarcastic meaning, they were like, hơi trễ rồi đó, ở lại ăn cơm với nhà cô nha.
Thank you, Irene, for the part for ambiguity. And now we'll move to the cases when compositionality goes awry. As you may know, there is a common saying like this: a loose sally of the mind, an irregular, undigested piece, not a regular and orderly composition. This is so common to justify the cases when compositionality goes awry. What are they? When we may find it difficult to understand the entire sentence if there are meaningless words. If there are problems with compositionality words or the semantic rules, when the meaning is not obvious or blurry to understand, even to a native speaker. And for the final case, when meanings may require some imagination and special knowledge to be comprehended. And now explore each cases one by one. The first one we have is the cases of anomaly, a violation of semantic rules resulting in expressions that seem nonsensical. There are two examples. The first one, colorless screens ideas flip furiously. This example refers to the cases of semantically anomalous sentences. Sentences that are still grammatically correct, but its meaning clashes with the common sense or real-world logic. The next example, they require Raphael to Irene. Somebody may say that require somebody to do something. But in this case, require somebody to somebody. There's something wrong with the grammar, right? They refer to the uninterpretable sentences. They fail to provide any interpretation and cannot be understood through the usual compositional rules. After anomaly, we'll have the cases of metaphors, when we know what appears to be an anomaly, but nevertheless understood in terms of a meaningful concept, and then the expression becomes a metaphor. We'll have the examples for you. When you say the sentence, our doubts are traitors, it doesn't mean literally like that, but the real meaning it is to undermine our confidence. And then to the next example, wars have ears. You know, wars, they don't have ears, but the real meaning, the hidden meaning behind is that to be cautious about what you say. So for the key takeaway, we would like to say to you that to understand the metaphors, we need to apprehend the individual words, the literal meaning of it, and then also the facts about our world, right? And then it has a strongly related culture component. So let's come to the other examples. In some books right here, The Fall of the US Dollars or The Invisible Hands, you know these books, printings are not to be understood in just the literal meaning, but through some specific economic knowledge. The fall of the US dollars, you know that the US dollars, they don't fall themselves, right? But the hidden meaning behind is that the economy of the US is falling. And also the invisible hand, it refers to some factors that drives the demands or things of something in the world. And a very interesting example I feel right here, my youth has been nothing but a dark storm. Dark storm right here doesn't literally mean in at the storm itself, but it is the symbolism of torment and sadness. It is a great example of how metaphors are used in the French literature. And moving to the last, we introduce to you the cases of idioms. Idioms are expressions which functions at the single unit and whose meaning cannot be worked out from its separate parts. And now we have a lot of examples in French. Let's focus on the one in the middle. I have the phrase avoir le coup de foudre. Well, I don't know if I pronounce it right or not. The literal meaning in English is being struck by lightning. We can know hidden meaning as to fall in love at first sight. And we also have a lot of phrases of idioms and proverbs in Vietnam, right? Có mới nói cũ, new one in. Old one now, gừng càng già càng cay. With age comes wisdom. In order to understand the idiom and comprehend them, you have to learn by heart all of the senses, not just the keywords. And the whole idiom, with every word exactly, forms the meaning of what it is. I believe this is also the conclusion of our presentation on semantics. We hope that this session is helpful for you when understanding the meaning of a language. Thank you for your attention.